Well, this corruption scandal may be bad, but it's not the first controversy facing FIFA or its president. I talked about that with Germano Almeida, a sports journalist and columnist. I began by asking him how badly the corruption scandal is tarnishing FIFA's reputation.
Well, soccer is a major thing in the world with many supporters. And because of that, FIFA gained in the last decades a lot of power. And when you see a lot of power in just one institution, that might bring a possibility of corruption. Mr. Blatter, in my opinion, made some good things for football in some countries, poorest countries. But the big problem was that he built a huge personal power with some relations, suspicious relations with some countries who support him. And as US justice showed, some of those relations must be investigated.
This corruption scandal is not the only challenge facing FIFA. Of course, there's also the situation in Qatar. The Washington Post put together a graphic showing the number of construction and migrant workers who've actually died on sports projects. There were a handful in places like Brazil and Sochi. But the tally in Doha is astonishing and astounding. One trade group says some 4,000 workers will die by the time the 2022 World Cup begins. How has this tarnished FIFA?
Well, Mike, this has been a case of everybody knew, but nobody did nothing. And the Qatar example is dramatic, I think, because some ideas of Mr. Blatter could be good, giving a World Cup organization to countries as Qatar, Russia, Brazil, or South Africa in developing and promoting football all over the world. But the problem was how the decision was making. And the Qatar organization is being dramatic in the lack of conditions, lack of human conditions, and that is just not admissible in sport and in football.
Let me ask you about voting. I mean, we look at a country like Brazil or the United States, huge populations, and then you have these tiny nations, and yet everybody has a single vote. If they change the formula, would that change FIFA?
I believe so, Mike. I believe so, because it was a good principle in base, 209 countries, each country one vote. The problem is that the power of Mr. Blatter, Mr. Blatter is president of FIFA since last century, since 1998, 70 years is a lot of time, and his power was built controlling, I would say, the countries, many countries in Asia and in Africa. And the base of the problem is this. It looks like democratic, but the fact is that FIFA now is sick. The system is not democratic, is not transparent, and things must change. And I think FIFA needs a revolution.
Well, let me ask you about Blatter, because you brought him up. We've been, of course, covering the re-election of the FIFA president. Here's the interesting thing. I saw a documentary last week on him where he was alternately described as this charming fellow and yet ruthless. Also, this guy who knows everything that's going on, and yet he's presented himself as like, I can't know everything. How was I to know about this corruption? How can he go about, or how should he go about repairing the image of FIFA, and can he?
Well, Mike, Mr. Blatter is in FIFA since 1975. He was Secretary General of Mr. João Avalanche before he's been president since 1998. It's a lot of time. And during that time, Mr. Blatter knew many people, many federations, presidents, and FIFA executives. And one of the problems of FIFA is the lack of competition. If you want to play football, you must affiliate to your national association. Your national association must affiliate to a confederation, and each confederation affiliates to FIFA. So FIFA is in the top of the top, and the guys who were in charge last years sounds untouchables, and the leader of him was obviously Mr. Blatter.
Germano Almeida, thank you so much for joining us, sports journalist and columnist joining us from Portugal.
Thank you.